Welcome to the North Shore 9 Podcast, episode number 129. I am Ryan Alexander. Along with me, as always, is Anthony DiNardo. DiNardo, what up?
Not a lot. I don't know. It's not much for me to say, I guess, today. What's up?
I heard your fantasy football team lost.
Shut up.
If I could talk.
Shut up.
How'd
Yes, it did.
How'd you do in the around the 412 trash league?
I lost there, too.
Oh, great.
I'm 0 for 2.
I'm losing in there as well. So, excellent.
This was not a good week for me. First off, in your league, I got blown away. I'm actually having a good week,
right.
A 107, which, let me look. As a matter of fact, right now, that is second in points, and I'm losing by like 50 points.
Yeah, you just ran into the Boston Red Sox of the RFFL, that's all.
The story of my life. I'm down 107 to 161. Again, 107 is I have the second most points.
Yeah. I actually
and then it's almost the same story for around the 412.
this whole year for fantasy football wise, it hasn't been my greatest. My team stinks in my league. Stinks.
Same. I went up against Ben Roethlisberger in around the 412 league. So that's all I have to say about that. Yikes. Fantasy football sucks.
Yeah. So let's stop talking about it.
It's so addictive, though. I just want to play.
Well, you know what, DiNardo? You could play a daily fantasy sport where you have a new team every week. Injuries don't kill your team there.
Listen, nobody sponsors us with that. Get that crap out of here.
I know, right?
They better be paying us if we're going to talk about some fantasy daily sports.
That's right. We're not gonna mention any by name. We're just gonna
Get out of here.
Make some maybe you can make some statements. I don't know.
Stop it.
But anyway, so I don't know. Like, so we're like, as far as baseball wise, like we're in the off season, but we're not like we haven't like free agency hasn't started. Technically, hasn't. I guess technically.
Has. I mean, technically it has. Yeah, absolutely. By definition of technically, free agency has begun.
See, this is MLB. It's all screwy now because last year we saw teams wait to like sign everybody until like February and March and even beyond that. And now it's like, yeah, nobody signs early unless you're Jung Ho Kang. But
Jung Ho Kang signed early.
But that's about it.
I don't know. I mean, do you expect people to sign early? I mean, that's
not.
the one thing that's different about baseball.
I mean,
like when
don't you feel
NFL
like
free agency starts, you see signings like all that night.
Right, but don't you, like 5 years ago, we saw a bunch of early signings, right? Like, I'm not making this up, I don't think.
Well, I think that's by definition. What do you mean early? Like the GM meetings, just
like the first week of just like, hey, everybody's a free agent, and like I don't know, there were signings that week. I feel like
I don't know. I have to do some research. That sounds like work.
Yeah, well, forget that. But anyway,
like in recent memory, I don't know if I can really remember. Not a lot. I mean, maybe one or two. Yes, but I guess that's technically like Jung Ho Kang. I mean, that's one. Has anyone else signed? No.
I don't. I mean,
there was a trade by Dipoto. Shocking.
Yeah, right. Well, like, you know, we talked about the Eduardo Escobar, but that was kind of like a re-signing before free agency started.
Yeah, that wasn't like a free agency. That happened during the World Series, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it did. So that was still like, it's their own player.
Right.
But yeah, Kang, I mean, there might have been some like, I guess, small deals like Kang, but I don't know if there was anybody
Ryan
else.
LaVarnways with the Yankees. There you go.
Yeah, but that wasn't a trade. They just like picked them up, didn't they?
Well, you mean a signing?
Was it off? I thought it was waivers. I don't know.
Oh, was it?
We
well, either way,
Who knows?
The Yankees got our leftovers. Huh.
Yeah. But anyway, like, so we mentioned last week about Kang. The Pirates declined the option. Oh, Jesus. I'm searching down through MLB trade rumors. Astros interested in James Paxton. Like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, McCullers out for the year.
Yeah. Whatever.
So it makes sense, but yeah, I mean, think about that rotation.
I don't want to.
McCullers was nice. but he's not James Paxton. So now you have Verlander in his last year. You have basically Garrett Cole in his last year.
Yeah. So go get Paxton.
Bring on Paxton.
Profit.
Keuchel's out there as a free agent
But
now.
it must be nice to. That's true about Keuchel. It must be nice to have a juggernaut.
Morton's out there as a free agent.
A juggernaut 25-man roster, and then still have the prospects to go out and get a guy like James Paxton.
Right.
Anyway, so
it must be.
So the Pirates declined the option, which we talked about the past couple of weeks. Actually, what they would do, and we all kind of wondering, is there another deal that they worked out that'll be like $1 million or $2 million or whatever that comes out. So he does re-sign. The Pirates re-sign him. I guess you could say the Pirates made the first signing of the 2018-19 offseason, DiNardo.
Yeah, unless we're wrong, because we didn't research that. So there you have it.
Well, there was no other big signings.
The Pirates did it,
was,
unless they didn't do it.
It was the first one. Their first free agent signing in the offseason in 2 years. So.
Now that is a fact.
So Kang re-signs at $3 million, DiNardo. Now, so they had to buy out his option, the 5.5 option that they did. So the buyout was $250K. So as far as I know, this wasn't like this. I mean, this essentially takes over for the option, but they still had to buy out the option. So Kang gets that $250K. So it's essentially like a $3.25 million deal. That's the way I'm looking at it.
That's the way I look at it.
And
it wasn't like they ripped up the previous contract or anything.
Right.
It happened.
Because this was technically, he was technically a free agent. Once they declined that option, he was, free to talk to whoever, whatever. So a little bit of risk there, which I want to get into. But so they declined the option. Now I'm sure we're talking this with them beforehand too, which, I don't know. I don't know if they had it verbalized, hey, we're going to agree to this. But they couldn't announce it until a certain date in the once free agency started or whatever. I don't know if that's might have been the case. Who knows? But just at this point in this 1 year deal that they signed him to, they have incentives that he has incentives he can hit to make an additional $2.5 million. So essentially, let's say he hits every incentive, and he has that buyout. He actually makes $250,000 more than he would have on that option if he hits every incentive, which I really hope he does.
I mean, yeah, if he does, that probably means he's playing really well. So absolutely, like you said, so the $250,000 was what he got. Declined the option, so he's already gotten that money from the Pirates, and he's getting $3 million, so that's 3.25, and yeah, so I mean, he could make out $5.75 million this year if he hits everything, which, like you said, is more than the 5.5. So I mean, there is incentive for him to do it this way. It takes risk out for the Pirates. Everyone knows where we stand on this. We wanted to just make it easy and just pick it up.
Yeah.
So
they should have just picked that up.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts with you. Obviously, this probably was in the works. I don't know. There must have been enough safe ground that the Pirates knew that we had this deal done.
I would hope
there was no risk if he went into free agency that anyone was going to pick him up. We knew he wanted to come back. Nothing was official, so you had that risk. But the fact that the contract works out to basically being what his contract was, instead of fully guaranteeing the 5.5, he can make the 5.5, and there's $3 million base. Because would you really risk that for $2.5 million? Well, not even $2.25 million. I don't think so. Do you risk a guy going if you really want him back on a 3-year deal, $3 million deal? I
mean, yeah, that's what I mean. If you think he's going to be anything near the player he was 2 years ago, just pick it up. Right. And that's stay with me on this one, DiNardo. Doesn't that come off a little cheap?
Cheap?
I mean,
yes, it does. It does.
I mean, essentially, let's say he doesn't hit any incentives, so they save what, a $1.75 million? I mean, no, wait, well,
2.25.
2.25. It's just
right.
At that point,
but
it's
still 2.25 is what they're saving.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not.
So
I mean, what is that? You're not. Yeah, what are you picking up?
It's not really even the going rate of a middle reliever these days.
No, you wouldn't. What would you get for 2.25? I mean, what was Freese's deal when we originally signed him? Wasn't it $2.5, $3 million?
3.
Yeah, so
1 year, $3 million deal.
Matt Joyce
in March.
Matt Joyce, I think, was $3 million or 2.5 or something like that.
He came with a minor league deal.
Was he a minor league deal?
I'm almost completely positive he was a minor league.
Yeah, you
deal.
might be right on that. But that's what I mean. Like, you're not really going out and picking up anybody, not even probably a bench player for $2.5 million or whatever.
No.
It's like, I don't know, maybe, more ski lifts or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's what we're getting to. This had to have been on the table. Like, they must have known. But again, what makes it weird is if it was known, like, why wasn't it done? Almost like the Eduardo Escobar situation, where it was just done, like, right then and there. The fact that he went into free agency and had to do it, it's just, it's kind of eerie. I'm interested. I would love to know behind the scenes, like, how this really went down. I know we'll never know, probably, but I would just really love to know.
So
I'm baffled by it.
I just thought of a great game we could have played. I don't know why I didn't think about this before the show. In possible incentives that you would sign Jung Ho Kang up for. So, things like DUIs per month. If you don't have any DUIs in June, you get an extra $10,000. If you don't have any in July,
and I was going to say, for one of the incentives, strictly goes right to an Uber card. It doesn't even go to his bank account; just right to the Uber card.
It goes to like a Venmo or PayPal account, and he can only use it for Uber or a rideshare device.
Right there, you go. I was going to say days without a DUI. Every day that you don't have a DUI, it's a $50.
I like it,
and it goes right to your Uber card.
You don't have any charges brought upon you by any.
There you go.
Any females in Chicago, you get
$100,000.
You get something.
You're chargeless.
I like this. See, this could be good. And then hit 50 home runs.
I like it.
So there you go. And that would have cost some more research for us to actually look the incentives up. I don't even know if it's public information yet.
The only ones I've seen is just like the at bats.
Yeah, and that's usually like
$250,000 incentive for like each 100 at bats or so.
150, then 250.
But that doesn't equal $2.5 million. So I don't know.
Probably,
unless they plan on him hitting 1,500 at bats this year.
There's probably those. There's probably those ones in there, the at bats, if you get 300, 400, 500, it goes up, and then there's probably some crazy ones NL MVP. You get 500K. By the way, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about that incentive from the player that it was a former Pirate and he signed elsewhere, and the incentive was for World Series MVP. It was Matt Joyce. It was Matt Joyce in Oakland when he signed.
Son of a bitch, it was. Yes, that's right.
It hit me afterwards. I looked it up. Yeah, so it was signing with the A's, and I forget what that deal was that he even signed. But the one incentive was for him a World Series MVP, which is it was just laughable because it's number one, the A's really weren't a contender ever. They were good this year, but this was
not that year.
This was a couple years before that. So they weren't really a contender. And then it's even if you made the World Series, what in the hell do you think Matt Joyce is your World Series MVP? And who brings that up first? Is that the team brings that up in the negotiations, or does the agent or player bring that up first?
Could you just imagine your agent? He's sitting there at the table, right, with the A's, and he's like, all right, let's work out this contract. I like everything, but you know what? I need some more. My client is not going to sign. I need some more incentives. How about this? If my client wins the World Series MVP, you got to give him $250,000. And that was it. That was it. That was the negotiation right there.
But
that was the deal breaker.
How does the team not laugh?
I'm saying, if you're the A's, okay.
Sure.
Sure. You know what? If he's the Cy Young Award winner too, we'll give him $3 million. How's that sound? Will that get it done?
Billy Bean's probably thinking, I haven't seen the World Series yet. Sure, why not?
Right.
And then if you think about it, if the A's were to go to the World Series that year, Matt Joyce having an unbelievable MVP type season might have made sense.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. First off, the A's get in there, like you said, and then Matt Joyce is the one that's, we're laughing, Ryan. Who was the freaking MVP this year? Steve Pearce.
Oh, God.
So, I guess it could happen.
Good point.
It's just, you wouldn't expect it to be with the A's.
Steve Pearce, the Pirates got rid of him. They should have known he was going to be an MVP
They're so cheap.
In 7 years, even though he was a bench player all year.